and I'm gonna get back in touch with her. And,
So I just had a question about,
Sure.
you went through high school with him,
Uh-huh.
and then you graduated, and then at what point then did you see him, you start to watch how
Okay.
his life has taken off? How
I'm glad you asked that, but I got another good story. Okay.
For those at home.
Now, I've told this story many times, but it's worth telling. The summer, and I'm guessing I should remember this. The summer that he made his first record, and I can't remember, 1956, 55, 56.
I think.
But
That's right, Mama.
I mean, I could find it, but
Yeah, he knows it.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I think, it was July 5th, 1954. They
All right,
recorded that.
well, good for you. Now, I've got that so. Okay, so
Hours and seconds.
Independence Day of rock and roll.
I was working for a civil engineer, Edward E. Schroyer, downtown Memphis, in the old Shrine Building. I don't even know if the building's still there, but it was old even back in those days. And so one day, I stepped out of the office, take a break. Here's Elvis. And so we greeted one another, how you doing? That sort of thing. What are you doing here? And of course he was in a hurry, and I was in a hurry. And he was working in those days for Crown Electric Company.
Okay, yeah.
And that can be documented.
Yeah.
And so what he was doing that particular day, he was installing an air conditioner. You remember the old units?
The window units.
Window
before
units,
Central, that was the days before
Where it would
Central.
go in the window,
Yeah.
kind of?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
See, the Shrine Building didn't have central air, but you'd have these individual units. I mean, you'd have to have them. I mean, it's the summer down there was terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what he was doing.
Wow.
Well, okay. Last time I go downstairs, and Sarah knows about this.
Yeah, I used to go to this little shop often.
Rogers Coffee Shop, main floor. It's facing Monroe Avenue, at least back in those days. Like I said, I don't even know if the building's still there anymore. So I walked through the back entrance, the back door, and I looked over, and there was Elvis and a buddy that he was working with.
This is also like 54 or something like that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
And you'll see what I'm talking about. So I didn't need any invitation. So I walk over, I get in the booth. I'm sitting right with Elvis, except he was to my right.
And at this point, you still didn't even know him as a singer or
No.
as anything other than just a classmate?
No.
Okay.
No. So it's kind of amusing because he and his buddy were talking about their bosses. There was a man and wife that owned the company, and they didn't care too much for him.
Oh, wow.
I've often used my imagination. When Elvis started, when he finally made it big, I wonder if he walked in one day and said, "You can take this job and shove it." But knowing his makeup, I don't think he would. I don't think he would do that. I imagine some guys would.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then before we split up, I said, "Elvis, now here's the main part. I heard your record the other night on Dewey Phillips' program.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know you could sing." He said, "Yeah," and pardon the language, he said, "Yeah, I recorded just for the hell of it, and I probably won't make a dime." He was serious.
Wow.
I had no idea. I don't even know if I'm sure he probably had a dream of making it big. He had to,
Yeah.
but I had no idea.
Yeah.
So now get this, Shane. The guy that made Elvis Presley, or got him going, was Dewey Phillips.
Yeah.
He had a very popular radio program on WHBQ, Red Hot and Blue.
Yeah.
It came on at 9 o'clock at night. That was the name of his program, Red Hot and Blue on WHBQ.
Yeah, I've read all about it.
Have you?
Yeah.
You've read about Dewey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dewey called him after Elvis made the first record. And so he wanted an audience with him. And the language is a little too crude, and I'm not going to say what he said, okay? Well, okay. So Elvis said, "Yeah, I'll do
Bob
it."
using the N word for black folks.
Right.
But it's not disrespectful. I mean, a lot of people they can't understand that. But that's another story.
That's just the South. It's just
Well, okay. So, like I've said so many times, now if you were in that position in 1954, and if Dewey called you up, "Shane,
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to you. And you'd say, Dewey, when? Where? Now? I mean, Dewey had a very popular program. I mean, it was
Yeah.
popular. He was one of the few guys that could play a spin a record. They could almost talk all the way through it. He was a funny guy.
Wow.
But he could get by with it. He'd just keep me in stitches, laughing at that silly
He'd
guy.
say, well, I'm gonna go out now and get me a moon pie and a ROC.
R.C.
It used to
Cole.
be R.C. Cole, so he'd
yeah.
say it, ROC.
And he'd have these funny little sound bites. Every once in a
Oh,
while,
really? Way back then, he'd have.
yeah, and every once in a while he'd be playing a record, and this real sexy female voice would come on and say, "Oh, Dewey." Things like that.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And he'd play blues and stuff, like in a time.
Well, it was
Yes.
whatever the popular music was back in the
Whatever was
50s. You know.
coming, whatever
It
was
wasn't
the
any
going
country.
music. Whatever was the going
It was not
music at the
country.
time.
I guess you call it blues, pop,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Then, of course, when shortly after that, you know, Johnny Cash came on the scene. Then that's of course that's another story.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I shared this with Elvis, and he told me, and he told me about Elvis. I mean, Dewey calling him up. He wanted an audience with him, and like I said so many times, I mean, that's Dewey Phillips is the guy that got Elvis going.
Yeah.
And that was
I hear
a
he
great
played
song.
that song like all night the first time.
Oh,
he
he'd
played it.
play it, and then pretty soon Elvis made another one, and Dewey would plug that one. He took a big liking to Elvis. And so it was just a matter of months. Elvis was getting meetings scattered what we call the Mid-South area. That would include Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri. And I said within a year, I mean, he was off like a rocket.
Yeah.
And I never will get this, Shane. The first time I saw Elvis on TV. Now you'd laugh at it. 12-inch black and white screen. Okay. But still, I'm sitting
And
there.
it's oval, they're oval shaped, they were kind
Yeah.
of round and
Oh,
oval
yeah.
shaped, the
Yeah.
screens were
I'm sitting there
like a,
looking at Elvis. I was just awestruck, thinking to myself, "Can you imagine this?"
Huh.
And now, Shane, let me go back. The day I was sitting in that booth with Elvis,
Yeah.
little did I know. Now, not many people. I don't know anybody else. I guess I'm sounding like I'm boasting. Who else can say I'm sitting next to a young man destined, in my opinion, to be the world's greatest entertainer
Yeah.
as far as secular
he
music?
still makes more money now than he did.
Made
when he was
$2 million
living.
last year.
Well, it's to the point where people aren't going to even believe he was a real person, you know, in a few generations. Like, I mean, it's
That's
so
right.
legendary. It's,
And when I look back on that, see, I just thank God for it because it's a memory embedded in my mind I can never forget.
yeah.
And the years roll on, you see Elvis performing for the big crowds and all that. But yet,